skeleton's bones are scattered about the dungeon. All the cell doors have been picked open by their occupants, and the bandits lay unconscious or, in some cases, dead at your feet. Anna rolls up her whip and seems pretty proud of her contribution to the fight before she stares at the opposite wall that seems like the natural continuation of this room, only to be greeted with an empty wall.
Wait, so the skeleton's dead?
Yeah, everything's dead. That isn't you. It's...
Well, I mean, dead again.
Yeah, they are re-dead.
We took care of them.
Yeah, no, not re-deads! Anyways, proceed.
What's happening on the wall?
Just there's nothing there. It seems like there'd be a path, but nothing.
Like a dead end.
Can I examine the wall?
Sure. You looking for anything in particular?
Or
just...
investigate it, I guess.
Yeah, investigation.
Go touch it.
Sure.
Where
Investigate.
did I put my dice? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Stuffed them in my bag, a Spyro.
Hey.
She, while she gets her dice out, for those in the audience, she recently got a Spyro figurine that's like the size of a small dog, and she carries it everywhere, and it's adorable.
A small dog. It's more like the size of a rat.
Yeah, a small dog.
No, I've seen it.
Yeah, just its head sticking out of the bag.
There they are. Ooh, did they spill everywhere?
Oh boy.
Yeah. I have an amazing amount of extra dice if need be.
Me too.
Yeah, you have a lot. Alright. Investigation is intelligence, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Alright, I have to.
And yes, it's intelligence.
I have a billion character files that I have to pull up.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, I get a -1 to investigation, so I would have gotten a 12.
As far as you can tell, it is just a brick wall.
Dang it! It's just a brick wall!
Anna speaks up. Ah, damn, looks like a brick wall.
Alright, I'll put a roll. I will not, because
you go to investigate the wall and like lightly stub your toe against it.
Yeah, you go investigate the wall. And you no longer see that wall. It's just you just see no wall.
Paul, care to try your luck?
Sure. I have at least a +2. That's I have proficiency. Uh, 15.
Alright, Paul, you see that your comrades are not having a whole lot of luck with that situation. So you notice the cell closest, the only one that didn't have a skeleton within, and in it, a stone against the wall is.
Oh, well, I guess I go in that room.
As you pull the stone away, I presume.
Yes, I'm gonna investigate this and yes, pull the stone.
You see that it's the makings of a fairly primitive but still functional trapdoor system. Basically, it's the most it is the barest bones of a secret door, like you would in a mystery novel. You have to pull the bricks out one by one and then stack them, but it does get the job done. But you go about the work of undoing some poor bastard's hard work and reveal a secret tunnel going even further down into the depths.
Ooh.
Professor Plaster sees the work you had accomplished and smiles through a gnarled beard of branches. Says, "Well, it appears. Well, it appears. You are astute. It appears our journey is not over yet."
Yeah.
Wow.
Seems like Paul's very insightful. He found the trap. He found the hidden passageway up top, and then he's found this.
Yeah, he's the guy who, because he's so quiet, he like things that the others don't.
Yeah.
Which is very much like you in real life. So,
Pretty much.
all right. So, do you guys want to adventure down further and see what awaits you?
All
Okay.
right.
Mm.
Bryn, I'm gonna ask all of you, if you please,
Oh.
make some stealth rolls with advantage.
Oh.
All right. With
Cool, I get +3 to stealth.
+2, so.
well, that is a
We have advantage. So it's
try again.
15. That's another 15.
Stealth +2, that'd be 17 total.
All right.
So with my
I got
modifier, that would be 17
say
total.
no. The game's over.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, nice rolls, everyone. I rolled for the NPCs as well, so we're all good. You guys head down the stairs, and it winds. It kind of winds back in on itself, but still go. It's like a spiral, but very sloppily made. You can tell that these lower parts were probably like more hastily constructed than the previous ones. Like they really didn't expect anyone to come down this far. Or it could just be falling apart because of age. And you find yourself on a sort of short balcony area in a you're on an elevated
In a
position,
what?
in a big corridor-like room, and you're on a slightly it's like you can it's like a particularly big curb basically. But you guys got good stealth rolls, so and they don't notice you, notice them. An incredibly pretty woman is patrolling the only door forward. She has a rifle slung over her shoulder and dual machetes sheathed on either side of her hips. She is incredibly beautiful. She's dyed her hair all sorts of different colors.
Oh, come on. How do I action?
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah, we just didn't hear you actually.
Yeah.
I had him really pretty. I was like, I know what to do.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Woman.
I'm having a sudden urge to stab her.
Her
They're
hair.
known as master manipulators.
She's just kind of casually like you almost get the impression that she's kind of dancing to in her head, just kind of like da 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 around the corner, having not seen you yet. She's dyed her hair, presumably, a bright purple. Clearly, stealth is not on her agenda. And she's wearing really bright blue lipstick, which Frian greatly compliments.
Into
I will watch for that.
Let's see. Could I do this? I don't think I could.
Anna whispers lightly, thankfully not breaking stealth, and comments, "She's ready."
yeah.
All right.
We have eyes on it.
Let's see. Is there any is there another pathway we could take, like go around her or something
The
like that?
only way forward is through her.
All right. Well, I go approach her. I mean, we're not getting anywhere.
No other way.
We're not getting anywhere standing here.
I like it.
Anna's like, "Wait, I'm not letting you talk to her first." Flower and Fall, will you accompany?
Sure. I'll have my axe drawn just in case. And Fall will sit behind me.
Stay behind me.
Paul, since you're in the lead, she sees you guys approach, and doesn't like drop her. Like she seems as unconcerned with your presence, as a mantis in the presence of an ant. And she daintily approaches you with a spring in her step and a click accompanying her with her heel. And stands directly in front of you, which you hadn't noticed when you first entered. Incredibly short,
Wow.
not that you'd think like it's anything unusual, but just like she's like it's pretty noticeable. Like she comes up to your chest, um, and she smiles up at you silently.
Hi.
Smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fucking pirate.
Yeah, be like, "Arr, matey."
Yeah,
Go full Mr. Krabs on all.
I'm
Uh,
overdosing.
God.
Alright.
She moves her hands really rapidly, which you wouldn't normally make any sense of, but luckily you were taught sign language to at least speak the languages you speak at the academy, and she signs to you.
What is all that friggin' hand motion?
She raises an eyebrow at you and opens her mouth, and you see the stump of a tongue that has clearly been cut off.
Oof.
Oh,
Oof, ouch.
I examine her for a bit.
do you happen to know a captain?
She
Matthew
kind of
did stuff.
she kind of stares at you for a bit, before, like, she looks away from you to look at Paul, since Paul seems like he's about to speak, but the look she gives you basically seems to carry the idea of maybe later.
Well, I was just mainly looking at her.
That guy.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
well, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do something. I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna walk past her. Go towards the door. she doesn't seem like she's attacking us, so.
Do the rest of you want to follow?
Captain Red.
Yeah, sure, just kind of wave and pass by. And then just come back up.
Paul, you hands daintily touch your shoulders, and she basically, from like with her facing backward, frogs over to continue, being like directly in. So, like she's incredibly light. You barely felt that, even though she just used her entire weight.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, I walk past her again.
The rest of you want to follow?
Let's just see.
Okay. Continue.
All you feel hands grip your waist, and a very like almost like wind flowing between your legs as she emerges. And
She's very nimble.
you hear, on behind you guys with Captain Red and Professor Blaster go, "Wow, that's impressive."
Jesus Christ. You useless
Captain
fucking
Red did
lesbian.
like. Captain just. Are you there?
She like just slaps your hand out of the way to keep watching.
Angry.
Earth to plant.
Paul,
Alright.
what, your rebuttal?
Well, seems as though she wants either to talk or obviously not let us pass. So, do I know sign language?
Yes, the academy taught you guys to do sign language of any language you currently
I'm
speak.
just going with some pay attention during that.
That
Can we
works.
ask?
Yeah, whatever.
Like basically, that's just me giving you guys a free. It's up to you if you take it or not.
Yeah. I guess
Like,
I'll ask.
can give a about all that.
Yeah, but I'll ask. I guess I'll try to sign to her, asking her.
One more time.
I'm gonna sign to her, ask her, be like, "Hey, what do you want?"
She smiles at you, seeming to enjoy conversation more than having to elaborately Cirque du Soleil to block you.
Shouldn't have to.
And signs back to you. I've been instructed to not let anybody pass.
Why is your tongue cut off?
You actually want to ask that?
Sort of.
She surprisingly doesn't get at all offended by the question, and smiles to you and signs. Are you familiar with the hashashin?
No. No.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay.
Red's just like looking at the, like, I feel like I missed.
See what I can do here.
Everything.
A lot.
All the things.
Probably.
Who's instructing you to not let us pass?
She actually seems surprised by that question, and kind of looks at you a bit longer this time, and she has a kind of untraceable glint to her eye. You can't really tell what emotion it's getting across, but she's definitely really deep in thought about something or other, before simply saying again or signing again, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Alright. Alright.
Well then.
Can I have Fall roll a stealth check to try to sneak past her?
Sure.
Because they tiny and they probably sneak past.
Yeah.
That's an 18.
You stealth your way past, and she surprisingly doesn't seem to notice, seeming more concentrated on making sure Paul doesn't try anything funny.
Distraction.
Alright.
Distraction.
Go.
Rule number one of the.
So what is in Fall's path?
Literally just a hallway and a door.
Well, is there anything around me? Well, I should make a perception check, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
I don't want to hurt her, to be honest.
20. Matthew?
I'm sorry.
She got a 20.
20.
Still nothing but a
Dang
hallway.
it. It's so sad. Well, we'll continue down the hallway for now.
Most useless
Although-
thing ever.
Oh.
I will give you something, since you did get a 20. There is genuinely absolutely nothing here but the door. However, while you're looking around trying to find an alternate way, you look back at the girl whose name you don't know yet, and see that you hadn't seen it before when you approached her from the front, but at the back of her waist, she has a compass strung to her belt.
That sounds like it's gonna be you.
Do I have good sleight of hand? Let me see. I do! Can I roll for sleight of hand?
Sure.
Yeah.
This.
Pretty much.
21 total.
You managed to compass from her belt without her noticing, you little sprite.
I want to examine the compass.
You pop it open, and it does not appear to be pointing to anything. Like, it has a pointer, it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Certainly not north.
Alright.
Well, I'll pocket it for now.
I'm going to attempt something. It's probably not gonna work.
Alright, go for it.
I feel bad doing this, but I want to seduce her.
I love that I could literally hear how hard that was for you to say.
Well, I didn't want to. I don't want to hurt her. She doesn't seem like a bad person. It's just, but I mean,
No, that's fair. No, like genuinely, that's fair, and I respect you for that. It's just.
all right.
It's just,
So what do I need to roll to seduce her?
That would be.
Someone needed. I mean, 12 crit.
And that'd be persuasion.
Is that a charisma?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
really.
persuasion is
I
charisma, I
don't
think.
really. I figured that's kind of why I didn't. It's also why I didn't want to do it because I have a -1 in persuasion. All right, hope I get a good roll. All right. I don't think I persuade her. I got a 2 with a -1 modifier, so I got a 1.
Would you please give me Paul's like horrid attempt at flirting?
Hey, baby.
With the migraine and everything.
I don't know.
She kick flips away from you, the heel of her boot just narrowly missing your head. And because she faced back at that moment, she sees you fall with the compass in hand.
I pocketed it.
Well, she definitely notices it's missing. She seems like the kind of person who's very aware of her possessions at any time. As she rights herself from the flip, she feels her belt and realizes it's missing. And she did see you behind her, definitely. So she kind of stares at you for a minute.
I'll sadly give it back.
Yeah, I decided technically a 1. I'd have it go sabotage someone else. She surprisingly doesn't take it back immediately. She kind of stares at you for a minute and signs, "I like you." Ask questions, and before taking the compass and putting it this time on the front of her belt.
Fall will sadly go to Flower, who will pat her head.
Also, I've thought about something like, don't Flower and Fall share the same mind?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, well, yeah, like that. Basically, they're twins who not only share a quote unquote design, but share a soul.
Yeah. So I was like, if Fall or Flower, or whoever went on ahead, they could technically tell us in advance. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you guys want to do now?
Well, now she's more aware of the fact that they were back there, so now you're gonna be watching them.
Yeah,
I'm watching.
it didn't turn out very well. I tried my attempt.
I've done all I can do.
I try to convince her to let us go.
Sure.
I get a +2 to persuasion, so maybe it'll work.
And he actually really likes you.
Yeah.
So roll with an advantage.
Okay. Well, it's not going to be enough either way. It's like a 12 at max.
Do you want to give me your attempt at convincing her?
I know you have your orders, but can you please let us go?
So you're surprised she doesn't like immediately just shake her head. She kind of thinks for a second, before smiling and getting she gets another glint in her eye, but this one's different than the last one. Has a more mischievous tint to it, and stands back to make sure everyone can see her, before signing, "Sure, just let me speak to the person in charge.
Hmm. Sure, why not?
Okay.
She's referring to you guys. She wants you guys to
Oh,
forward
okay.
so that she can ask, discuss it with them.
She
Why
wants.
does she stay with that weird, whatever it is? Realizing I almost.
That weird sign language. What is that?
Yeah, yes, that's what it is. It just goes to who's on first bit.
Oh god. So she wants us to step forward?
Well, she just said send your lead.
Oh, our leader.
Who's the leader?
Anna pipes up and says, "Well, it's definitely me, right?"
Sure.
We're little children, so I don't know.
I was like, sure, she can go on ahead in the bandit cave or whatever, probably. It's like,
Yeah, go ahead.
no.
Professor Plaster mumbles, she wants to speak to the.
I don't think we have anyone.
Or
Yeah, they're just kind of traveling as a group.
I mean, like, I jump at the chance to take that kind of credit, but to be honest, we don't really have one.
I guess the tree person.
Whenever you gesture to him, he shakes his head and says, "I was fit to lead a group as a sprout. I'm definitely not now." Anna, seeing and hearing no objections to her claim to the leader position, steps forward and holds a hand out and lets out the incredibly eloquent and dignified, sorry.
Did she fail a speech check?
Yeah, she had to roll with disadvantage because
Yeah.
You useless lesbian.
but
Second character is maybe.
But the girl just smiles and signs to Paul, saying, "I was just messing around. I just wanted to see what you guys would do."
Okay.
And she looks at you, Captain Red, and signs to make sure that you see her and everyone else can read what she's saying. And says, "I'm particularly surprised by you, but don't tell him I said that." And with that, she pirouettes around and starts strutting to the door.
What the hell?
Well, we can't say.
What kind of?
She gestures with a hand for you guys to step forward as she stands in front of the door and signs, "I'll let you guys forward without a fight on one."
Yes.
She smiles and gets that earlier glint, the kind of unidentifiable one in her eye, and says, "My boss won't let me see behind the door. So if I'm going to basically do my job, I want a cut of whatever side."
Okay.
Anna recovers from having briefly gone in steam from the mouth coma, and nods and says, "Oh yeah, totally, that's fine."
I bet she's
Professor
fine.
Plaster simply says, "The more, the merrier."
Yeah, friends.
At your thing, at your statement, flower/fall, she actually seems kind of surprised, and her expression kind of takes an unreadable angle, kind of shakes it off, and rather than just push open the door like a normal person, she handstands to kick it open with the back of her legs before landing gracefully on the other side of the room.
Yeah, she likes to be nimble.
I want to learn how to do that. But you can fly.
She hears you arguments and signs over her shoulders, not really stopping to see if you guys are actually seeing what she's saying or not, and says, I'd be willing sometime."
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys are okay with following her.
Mhm.
Forward ahead.
You guys step into the next room, and even for the most nihilistic and world weary of any of the sight before you is breathtaking. This room is larger than any you've ever seen anywhere. And there's not a single gold coin or anything of the like inside. The only thing there is a small, fairly stubby and unimpressive, all things considered, little altar of sorts in the center of the chamber, surrounded on all sides by large concrete pillars. And directly opposite of the door you entered through is another door. This one covers the entire opposite wall, from ceiling to wall to wall to floor. And this door is made of an ancient material that you can't identify and is covered, not a free space available, in indents and symbols and hieroglyphics of things that you can't even begin to fathom what.
Oh.
Wow.
Anna reaches for thermos before just letting her hand fall limply, and says, "The first time in my life, I'm completely speechless."
I don't think you know the definition of speechless.
She, without looking, kicks you in.
Yeah.
I see that line with so many things. It's like someone's got to bring it up.
Professor Plaster slowly, with a very quiet reverence, approaches the altar in the center and slowly rubs a hand across it and says, "Mind of the century. We could spend all of the rest of all of our lives combined researching this, not even scratch the surface."
So it's priceless. That's what I like to hear.
You hear Anna mutter under. And Anna jogs to investigate the. And the girl who led you guys in here seems content to just kind of idly look for anything. For someone who claimed that she never allowed to see in here, she's pretty unimpressed, all things considered.
It's
Expecting
not
gold.
money, so I can understand,
Yeah,
I
she
guess.
was expecting money. Hmm.
Rest of you.
Uh, hmm.
Hmm. I guess.
You go.
I just investigate the big door.
Sure. Anyone else want to do that, just so we could do your roll? All right. Fire and fall. You're probably going to busy yourself with something else.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to our friend
Okay,
and actually ask her her name.
that's fair.
Never did.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll do well. Let's do that first. So go ahead and approach her.
Oh, yeah, approach her and just
And
like,
plus, she's closer, so it gives Red and all the chance to react.
well, we never actually asked you your name. Sorry about that.
She signs back, kind of doing a weird thing of like doing that hand wavy thing of "Don't worry about it," while still also trying to sign "Don't worry about it." Um, and she says, "But since you asked, it's," and then she stops suddenly, and her eyes kind of take a glazed over. Like it's basically the face you would make when you're trying really hard to remember something and just get really lost in the memory train.
It's not our name.
But her eyes actually like kind of slightly almost lost.
No, are you okay?
Anyone else?
I don't know.
Fair enough. I just want to make sure. She kind of snaps out of it and continues as nothing had happened, and says, "I don't really have one, but everyone back home just calls me."
I'll call you Blue or Moon, whichever one you want.
She smiles and signs that works for me.
Yeah.
Red and blue.
Red and blue.
All right. Now, as for the door, so those approach it. If you want to investigate it, you can make an investigation check, or if you just want to get a general perception.
I did investigation.
Investigation. Got 17. Wait, I did.
If for investigation, intelligence.
Then 17.
Okay. And Paul.
16.
Okay, so yeah, that'll work. As you two all start kind of rubbing your hands over various, which are deeply embedded into the wall, like elaborately and deliberately carved there. And from a distance, it was, especially with how many there are, it was hard to make sense of it. It looked like just random patterns. But Paul, from your days tending to the mansion and taking care of people, you recognize some of these surgical things that would be used to fix things, things that have a very distinctly, like things you would help things or. And red, from your days on the open seas, taking what you can and giving nothing back, you can see swords, you can see guns, spears, and shields. This door is engraved wall to wall with and weapons of all kinds, some of which you have no idea, even vaguely, what they're supposed to be, but that seems to be a recurring pattern object.
Objectivity. Like, wow, that's so honest.
Have to figure out how to open the door.
Anna approaches and is like, I've seen artists work and they work fast. Anna is amazing sketch of all the shapes she can see. Like this notebook is getting filled with lead faster than some people. And she's taking these detailed and surprisingly well done for someone who doesn't seem to be an artist by profession, sketches of the various engravings. And as she's going, steam practically rising from her pencil as she does. She yammering on as she tends to, just saying, "These must all be inventions of some ancient civilization we can't even comprehend. I could spend the rest of my life trying to figure out what half of this stuff is supposed to be."
Yeah, well, and I don't understand some.
Blue Moon cartwheels into view before leaning against the door very casually and signs, for a door, I don't see a lock anymore, let alone a key.
If I had to guess, it probably has something to do with all.
Professor Plaster and Anna both incredibly did that. They both look at each other, and Plaster nods and up. If the keys to the cage, so to speak, were buried with this station, I'm afraid there's a high probability this will ever be.
Have you ever?
Never say never.
I can't think of that enough.
Kind of just rolls her eyes and kind of continues to like dance idly about. And Flower,
Mm-hmm.
handled the compass. You
That was
notice,
Paul, but yeah,
or sorry, I was like, make sure you get the right one.
it's okay.
Um,
Like they both saw it, so
yeah, that's fair actually. So, you both saw and handled the. So you kind of notice it on her person. You notice that it's glowing pretty brightly.
Hey, that glowing.
Can we Thinking. Can we do an athletics check, or would it be
obvious.
acrobatics to like grab it and like look at it?
We could just ask her for it, but
Okay.
if you want to,
Your compass is
Or
glowing.
sleight of hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you can acrobatics it if you want. I was just pointing out, like, if you guys, you can ask for it.
You're right. Your compass is glowing, Blue Moon. Look.
She
Wow.
stops upside down on her cartwheel and currently bobbing gently against her stomach, and rights herself up before signing. Well, it is. Her eyes,
Anyways, sorry.
her eyes kind of take on that frosty and brief. Shakes her head again, and she kind of stares at the door for a minute and looks at the compass before delicately approaching. And you guys notice as she gets closer,
It's brighter.
there is octagonal shape on one side of the door, objects and that is currently clicking, and the ruin is starting to move into different positions to make room for that octagonal shape. And seeing the fairly obvious video game-esque tell, she gently the compass into the little octagonal shape, and it fits snugly as if it was meant to be there all along.
Yeah.
And hear the whole rumble as you hear deep groaning whirring of complex machinery behind the door as a lock is undone.
We did it! Or you did it!
Did we do it?
What
Well,
did
we didn't open
do?
the door, but we unlocked it a little, I guess.
Blue Moon kind of like pushes against the door before shaking her head and signing to the rest of you. Well, it definitely did something, but it's locked as ever.
So wait, what did they do?
Put the compass into the door, a bunch of stuff moved, and you heard a lock being undone, but locked in general, so you get the impression it's a multi-layer
Well, I had to
system.
get investigate.
Yeah.
Look like there's another spot for the something else could be.
You did get a good investigation, and there is other objects and shapes, but definitely not another one that would fit the compass specifically. And plus, even if that was the case, her taking it out would.
It looks like we need different objects or whatever, different maybe amulets. I don't know.
So
Whatever.
like, which objects?
On a, I know that wasn't in character. I'll pretend it was. Bit. Anna pipes up. I'm glad you asked. I've been working on a theory. He jumps like for an incredible gayness gotten. Anna leaps over Blue in a way that even Blue impressed by the speed, and starts pointing to different shapes that move really aggressively, and says, "See all that? Very specific shapes got moved in different positions. That's what undoes the lock. We don't just need any object. We need specific ones in a specific pattern to unlock it."
Cool.
Oh, I was hoping.
So, how good are these representations of the objects?
She grins and holds her in front of you as she flicks rapidly. And not only has she been sketching shapes themselves, by each one she's taken notes of what they could possibly be.
Oh, you work fast.
I'm an archaeologist. It's my job.
So what next?
One more time, sorry.
So what next?
And I just saw this something. Well, I mean, considering the thing going anywhere. See why that would necessarily mean.
She's hyped up on coffee and science to notice or care. Professor Plaster, at your Paul looks over everything, and he seems to be taking it in. Just on is just a lot quieter, and says, "I have a lot of notes in laboratory. It'll take time, but with her designs and you guys' help to get expeditions down here, we could probably find objects around the world that match what we need. Not sure how many we'll need exactly. We'll do calculations on that. But if I'm right on this, with you guys' help, we can get this thing."
So we need to go home,
Yeah.
find specific item, door, and then maybe.
Blue sarcastically signs in the background. Sounds tedious.
Pretty much.
Sounds tedious.
So is that a no that you're not gonna come with?
She smiles, and
You didn't notice it, right? Did you just? God, that's.
yeah. Hats fall on the head, and signs. You promised me a cut, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, like fallen flower made a friend.
Cartwheels back to yank her compass out of the lock, and the lock shutters and clicks and back into place. But you know how to get that lock undone now. She twirls her compass in hand before returning to the belt, and Professor Plaster, you guys, a very happy old scientist getting back in the game smile, and says, "Well, it'll take some time, but we're willing to put you guys up until we're ready to find the next treasure."
Yes, you know which one to start with.
Or
Uh,
where they are.
Anna starts studying her notes intently, and says, "I have some theories, but it's going to take some time." Fortunately, Blue Moon dances past you and signs, knowing full well you can't understand her, and says, "Good things come to those who wait."
Well,
Well, let's go for now.
All you good?
Yeah. I'm
All
just
right.
thinking about the consequences that just happened.
will be
I
remembered.
swear, if Blue Moon betrays us,
No.
I will riot.
Well,
Well, it's just
after you have it.
it's just the problem is even if she doesn't betray us, problem is Blue Loon has one of the pieces we need on her. So if it was stolen, which is clearly just showing out, well, that's gone.
I mean, when compass work?
Friend, yeah, to be fair, you could test that theory, but bear in mind, Anna mentioned that adventurers have come down here before, but none have ever succeeded in getting the door open, nor did they report any interesting findings. And you can't imagine she's the only person who's ever come down here with this.
I mean, you have to consider that we don't have to think of my compass and door.
Well, it seems to glow when it gets near it, remember?
It's a special compass, probably. But either way, I just.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, this compass wasn't pointing towards
Fall
things.
tried it, and it sort of didn't anywhere.
Probably a special
Maybe it's
compass,
like-
so keeping
It's
it
like
safe.
Jack Sparrow's points to what you desire.
Could
Isn't
be.
that how Jack Sparrow's compass?
Yeah, whatever you want. Before we get sidetracked, I want to have like a section title talk. That was officially the end of the prologue. Congratulations, everyone.
We did
Yeah.
it!
It only
That's
took
not
us like
everybody. Thank you for we good.
it only took
You
us like
all-
5 months.
and you all got just enough XP from that to officially get the XP you have gotten to get to level 2.
Yeah.
Finally!
And actually, you have enough to get that with an extra 100 on the side, so you're all at 400.
Yeah. Do that shit.
All right, so You already applied your level up, so you'll start progress to level 3. Now.
Because you fucked up.
Well,
I made a mistake.
I made my.
All right. So thoughts on things?
We made a friend. I don't want her to betray us
Uh,
desperately.
Yeah, she will actually like, kill you.
I'll kill you.
Austin.
my thought is, Paul is not a smooth talker.
One more time.
All
Sorry.
is what?
I said Paul is not a smooth talker.
Yeah. 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 It turns out being a butler for like 90% of your lifespan doesn't do wonders for you.
Yeah.
And
It's
Hunter.
so
Any...
funny.
That's fair. All right. So we're gonna take a brief. It'll be shorter than it ordinarily would have been to make up, but we'll take a brief break. I have time to get the next set of things planned out. We'll start uploading onto YouTube. Watch them on the Odd Tornado Productions channel. And thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Good night.
Woo.